Hello, I'm having to do this on my phone because my GoPro's just quit on me. Long time ago, I built this from the RushFPV ESC and flight controller board, the F7. Only able to operate in my garden. We're finally outside. Only got this field for today, but hey, it's a field. There's just one guy doing metal detecting. Careful not to hit him. But yeah, I'm going to fly this and see how it feels.
Okay, off we go. Now, this is a review mainly about how the flight controller handles things and obviously to make sure the ESCs don't do anything bad. I've also got the little RushFPV TinyTank inside, so I wanted to do a couple of different power levels. This is 25 milliwatts, and this looks pretty good over to a couple of 100 meters at least. This was such a pleasure to fly. If you saw my previous review of the Green Hornet V3, that's what I was flying in the field, and that thing felt so slow in comparison. This feels super quick. I mean, it was pretty quick, but it's eating up this LiPo. I'm beginning to think maybe I overpropped this a bit, because this is, I think I started with the 1500, which to admit is not particularly high C, but yeah, it's draining this pretty quick. So we're out there to about 500 meters ish. The 25 milliwatts is holding up pretty well, which is pretty nice because it's not the normal VTX to use in a 5-inch quad. It's really a toothpick VTX, but I just couldn't fit anything in because of the amount of room that the ESC board took up with those two capacitors in tow. This is onto my second battery, and I thought I had a problem with the VTX because I thought what I did is go and set my power to 200, and then it didn't go to 200 and I was confused. But when I look at it with the usefulness of the DVR, I could see that I didn't go and hit the set. So I'm really out of practice here. So what we did is another 25 milliwatt flight, and what I'm using here is an 1800 high C tattoo battery, which really works a lot better on this quad. I still think I might experiment with the props because it does seem a bit heavy. The guy doing the metal detecting, he came and had a word with me afterwards because he was fascinated with what was going on, and he mentioned about just how fast this was, especially compared to the others I was flying on the day. And yeah, I was talking about how City Whoops are a little bit like big sails in the wind, but this one was a lot of fun to fly. I was really enjoying it. Yeah, it feels really, really fast, but that's because I was flying a slow quad. It's not brilliantly fast. I think it would be very fast, but I don't think it's going to survive. The battery's not going to survive on these props if I really push it, because I can see that the power drains really quickly. So some stuff to work on there, I think. Let's demonstrate that LiPo sag with a very quick punch. As you see, my throttle only gets up to 80 something, and that battery was really complaining about it all. Might just be the fact these batteries are a bit knackered and need to be replaced, but yeah, they weren't happy with me doing that. So let's move on to the last flight, and you see this time I actually managed to hit the set button. Not that I noticed at the time, I just thought, oh, 350 works, why didn't 200? Yeah, always record DVR, then you can see what idiots you were for not noticing in the first place. So we're going out here just a bit further just to check things out. This part of the field, about 6, onto about 700, maybe 800 meters. Not a problem. 350 milliwatts and a nice clear picture on the VTX, and absolutely no problem cutting through the wind. Unlike the Green Hornet, you can see that the power we're putting in on the throttle percentage is pretty minimal, which is just as well, because if I did put the power down it would just collapse into pieces. But this is a great quad to fly now. What I've done in terms of tuning is absolutely nothing aside from change my rates. So pleased to say that the flight controller is working really nicely. It feels very smooth, it feels very fast, it can cruise at a fairly low throttle range and still feel like it's, you know, relatively quick. And I'm not having to do anything, which I really do like. So it feels very locked in despite me not having done anything, which is a good sign. So really a fan of this flight controller. As far as the quad overall goes, I quite like the frame. Obviously we've got slight fitting problems with those two big capacitors on the ESC, but the whole quad's holding up quite well, I'm pleased to say. But as I said, I might just put some different props and experiment with that, because it really does seem to be wiping the battery out very quickly. Or I might just have to buy some new batteries, I guess. But yeah, really enjoying getting back to doing, you know, a bit of normal flying, I do feel very rusty, especially things like coming in for landings and stuff. Just trying to remember how to come in sort of low and where I'm looking at and stuff like that. But the overall flight characteristics, really pleased with it. It's good to get in the air again and eventually use this frame, as I've not been able to previously. So as far as the stuff goes here, I think the flight controller, brilliant, can't fault it, love the design, it's very sort of tough, it's very simple to work on like that. And ditto with the design of the ESC board, and how easily it is to get to things and join them together. That's all great. I guess the one elephant in the room is if you use that power filter board, because that power filter had these two capacitors that go straight up, and that would obviously normally get blocked with the posts on regular frames. And I wanted to talk to RushFPV about this because I wanted to know where they were coming from and when you'd use it. Of course, this isn't something you get with ESC, it is an optional thing. It will filter the power the best it possibly can. But you can also just use a single capacitor on the end of an ESC if you want to. And the suggestion to use there is a 470 microfarad 35 volt capacitor. The other thing I suggested, and they agreed on this one, is you've got these capacitors, they've got fairly long legs. So if you wanted to use the power filter board as well, you could put them in and you could just bend them into the area you were happy with. But essentially you don't have to use it. It would just obviously be nicer if you could use the, you know, the optimal setup with the twin capacitors in a way that you could fit things in nicely. But overall, I'm really happy with this. Liking the way this flies, very smooth out of the box. The only thing, as I mentioned, I'll look at is perhaps the props on this, change over to something a little bit more efficient, because it's not the lightest frame. It can carry like a GoPro and stuff, and that is taking up an awful lot of power from those batteries. But we'll do some stuff on that in the future. In the meantime, I hope that was helpful. Thanks very much to RushFPV for answering all my silly questions and sending me the bits out, and you can find some more details of what I was using down below. Hope that's been helpful, and I'll catch you next one. Bye for now. Well, you've made it to the end of the video, so thanks once again for watching. If you like what you saw, then please consider subscribing, and if you really like what you saw, then be sure to check out the link to my blog for a variety of ways in which you can help support this channel.